Whether you like vampires, dark fantasy with deadly consequences.
Watch your f***ing mouth.
Big mistake.
Oh shit, am I gonna die again? Oh my god, no, leave me alone. Hey, wait, hold on. Wait, can we talk about this? Oh shit. Shit. Protagonist named Cliff who liked to kick people off of cliffs. That is a thing in this video. A game that we're gonna get later this year. Or sci-fi perks that make your knees crack and alert enemies to your presence. There's RPG still to come in 2025 worth keeping an eye out for. And let's get into it because some of these are a little bit controversial, so I want to get you all like primed and ready so you can, just start typing away at how wrong I am and be nice. Let's start with perhaps the most controversial one of the lot, the game that could be either a big steaming pile or maybe fun. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is a game people have wanted for years. But the longer you want something, the more concern grows that it can actually deliver. Just ask any fan of Elder Scrolls, Mass Effect, or Dragon Age. Back in March, the game was delayed to October of 2025 for more bug fixing and technical quality updates. It's being developed by British-based developer The Chinese Room, which released Still Wakes the Deep back in 2024, a thrilling narrative horror adventure full of emotional gut punches, but honestly fairly linear storytelling. I want to believe that Vampire the Masquerade 2 won't be that linear, but what we've seen so far actually doesn't instill that much confidence. Set in modern-day Seattle among an open war, you take on the role of the Elder Vampire, making decisions that will decide who will rule the city among its three-front siege. Of course, you'll be a fully customizable character known as the Nomad and Fire and the Elder Vampire, because I guess picking just one pseudonym wasn't enough. Dev diaries promise that the world will be reactive to your choices, conversations, even your outfits, and how the story will unfold, which gives me a bit more hope given the lack of that in Still Wakes the Deep. Picking a vampire clan will impact your playstyle, the brutal melee-focused Bruja, for example, or the magic-based Tremere. You can stick to the shadows with stealth as a Banu Hakim, or use mind control as a Ventru. How that unfolds, as far as we know, is the repeated buzzword of visceral combat. To compete with modern titles focusing on three core gameplay styles: strategic stalker, action brawler, and narrative adventurer. And that would be awesome if that's where it ended. If that's all that we talked about with this game and we hadn't actually seen things, or perhaps the most controversial part of what we've seen so far. You have a voice in your head.
Ripped it from your skeleton and your flesh with it.
Please, it's not up to me. They said I could see my family again.
The memories.
They said if I cut off the cord, if I took away their little black book, all their secrets, it would cause the chaos he needed to strike, and I'd be free.
Who is this he?
The Malkavian. The gardener.
The gardener.
But now you got the truth. You know what that means, right?
Fire, you're losing him.
In the extended gameplay look we got just about a year ago, we found out about the constant voice in your head going by the name of Fabian. And I have to admit that this part alone had me considering not even putting this game on this list.
No, you have to add it to the list. How else would you get a nice 5 games? It's very, very important.
It's just so heavy-handed and seemingly unnecessary.
No, it's exactly heavy-handed enough. How else would you pick up on subtle clues like this dude is hiding something?
Polly tells me you keep the court's secrets and its histories. Earlier tonight, another kindred by the name of Isabella used this mark to sap my power. Do you know anything about it?
No. All I had to do was keep my head down for just a few more nights.
He's hiding something.
Yes, how else would we pick up on context clues? Now that said, one of the most recent updates, the update showing that this game has been a little bit more delayed this year into October, actually said that they've changed Fabian's role a little bit. So while I'm not expecting miracles, things like stranger things have happened, like, you know, the freaking Sonic movie. I expect this game to make waves one way or another, and probably without much middle ground. There's a lot of negative buzz around it and changes the openness of its predecessor, and gameplay looks a bit like a less polished version of Cyberpunk 2077, at least to me, in the last extended reveal we saw. So if you find that this game isn't quite to your liking, there might be a silver lining, because it might get you to play another underrated RPG of vampire aesthetics, like, I don't know, Vampire, a game that's definitely worth like giving a try if you have never played it. Our next game is another one that people have been waiting for years and years, but I think it'll be much better received. The Gothic Remake. What started as a demo to gauge interest has now turned into a full-on remake. Akimia Interactive is remaking the classic from Piranha Bytes, a studio that still existed before Embracer overindulged on acquisitions, royally fucked up, closed Piranha Bytes, and promoted the person who caused all those fuck-ups and layoffs. Not that I'm bitter or anything about that particular part of the gaming industry at all. But the Gothic Remake does live on, and we're expected to get it in 2025, last we heard. We even got a playable demo of the suitably dark RPG at Steam Next Fest, which was my first time to play the game, including the originals, and I came away intrigued and hungry for more. I am not the target demographic. I never played Gothic. I have no nostalgia for this game. But the darkness, the grittiness, the sheer ability to fuck up everything and die.
You're an old man. Then let's get this over with.
Oh shit! Wait!
Too easy.
Wait! It was fantastic. It was really great. The game is a gorgeous, brutal RPG where you will be a nameless protagonist in an open world RPG full of danger where the world will react dynamically to your choices. The demo, which is still playable, has a mostly positive rating with over 6,000 reviews so far. Now, I personally struggled mightily with the combat, but I'm also very bad at games.
Good luck out there.
I did the nice... Oh god, no, you can't attack him, you can attack him. I'll help.
Did he just shoot me in the ass? Dude. He shot, y'all saw it, right? I think he shot me in the ass.
Wait, where is it? Where's the goblin? Where'd it go? Oh! It feels like a combat system where as you play the game more, you'll be getting more of the hang of it. You'll be gauging the distance between yourself and the enemies more and being a bit more reactive. But like I was saying, the best part of this is you can go and play the demo right now. And I promise you that getting your hands on it and playing it yourself is going to do more for you than anything that myself or any other content creator can tell you. Play the game yourself, play the demo, set some time aside, and see if it's something you want to at least put on your wish list. If you're looking for some harsh realism where everyone can be a dick, just you'll find yourself right at home. Our next game, though, might be the most beautiful, the biggest spectacle still remaining of the year, at least graphically.
The continent of Pywell. A land soaked in blood by the battles of those who seek peace and those who seek to shatter it. Here begins the saga of the Greymanes.
There are beings who brought chaos to Providence. The rifts they have created will return everything to nothingness. We seek to correct this.
Crimson Desert is an open-world action RPG set on the continent of Pywell, where you take on the role of Cliff, the leader of the Greymane mercenaries. Cliff is kind of a stand-in a lot of ways for Geralt. I won't sugarcoat it, but the game promises some of the best visuals of any of the list, and it's another I got to play, although quite a bit more briefly than the other demos. When I went to PAX East this year, I had a 15-minute preview video and a 15-minute gameplay session with Crimson Desert. 15 minutes is not enough time to even begin to formulate an opinion, but I was impressed by the visuals, how the world interacted, like trees actually falling on me, and the physics of getting tossed around like a rag doll against the little arena I was fighting in. I was less impressed by the combat itself and the protagonist, but a lot of that can be chalked up to the fact that with that 15-minute preview, you're just kind of thrust into a boss combat thing. And so there's not really any kind of build-up or warmth to get going with the game. It's just here, get thrown against the wall a lot. So with this game, I am really open to my mind being changed about the combat. Along with the action combat, the game will feature everything we've seen from flying with your cloak to flying on a freaking dragon. Combat is going to be quite similar to another game made by Pearl Abyss, Black Desert Online, so it'll be flashy, fast, and exhilarating, but probably expect some stress on your PC. But if it can handle it, expect a beautiful spectacle. And some of the spaces we see in this are just vast. It looks huge. It looks like a world that's going to be a lot of fun to explore. I think Crimson Desert could be a sleeper RPG for the year. It hasn't generated a ton of hype, so it might slip under the radar, but I still get the feeling it'll provide a satisfying journey for RPG fans looking for something a bit more fast-paced than, say, our next game. Do you miss Asterion or Karlach? Or do you really like rolling those virtual D20s? I've got some good and some bad news for you. Because while Larian's next title is probably still years away, we're gonna get to go into another turn-based D&D based RPG sooner rather than later. It's also gonna be not as polished as Baldur's Gate 3, probably won't have any romance, and is well, it's only going into early access this year. Solasta II, though, is definitely a game worth watching this year. At the same time, we got a demo for Gothic 1, we also got a demo for Solasta II. I was very impressed with what I got to play, having played the first one as well. I came away excited for this beautiful take on D&D, and how it was essentially improving on some of the things I really didn't like in the first one. I had some issues with the companion party-based system, but that was also in part because of the demo. But that's also how this game works. You're not going to be creating your own TAV, as you're just really going to be creating your own party. It's a little hard to explain if you haven't played the original Solasta, but you're mostly picking from preset personalities. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work out in Solasta 2, how much like flexibility you'll have, but in the demo you're kind of given a set of companions, and you are all of the companions. You're not just one of them. Even with some of the difference from Baldur's Gate 3, this is still the one I have circled to most fill that void I have for that fantasy D&D based game. Until Larian's next CRPG, which I really hope is going to be Divinity Original Sin 3. Just keep in mind that Solasta 2 is not trying to replicate BG3 and has a much smaller team, and will all likelihood be far less polished in just about every way. And yeah, like I said at the beginning, you probably won't be able to fuck a squid. So sorry about that from missing from it. Or you're welcome.
Vanilla and garlic. Its breathing quickens as you pull in close to its face, its excitement palpable. You pause a moment as a thought occurs to you. Where is a mind flayer's mouth?
But everything we've seen so far of Solasta II is improving on its previous iteration, especially in two key areas where it floundered a bit: graphics and voice acting. Combat feels very much like what you'd expect from a D&D inspired CRPG, and the world feels immersive and inviting, save an issue I found with some of the NPCs acting more like window dressing than world inhabitants. But don't take my word for it, because just like Gothic 1, the demo is still out and you can go play it. So go play the demo, because it's better to play it than listen to my ass and anyone else's ass. It just in general. Though there is one small thing to point out when you go play that demo. The combat's going to be a little bit different from what the game will actually be, as they recently announced that they're going to be updating from the combat in that demo, which was the 2014 D&D 5th edition rule set, to the 5th edition 2024 rule set. Just some slight tweaks here and there. And in that same announcement, they also confirmed that they're still on track for early access later in the year of 2025. Through all of these, there's been one thing missing for all of this: capitalism. And I guess the $80 price tags for our next game are a pretty good start for that. But also the fact that it tries to lampoon capitalism while also costing $80. Outer Worlds 2, which is on Game Pass, so yeah. A sparkling trailer and a 30-minute in-depth direct of the Outer Worlds 2 has been dampened by that $80 price tag, and visually the game in a lot of ways looks a whole lot Avowed, another good game that was in my opinion hurt by being overpriced at $70. But Outer Worlds 2 is standing out as the game on this list that I think has the biggest potential to be one of the best games yet this year, in a year that's already seen a shit ton of incredible RPGs. In Outer Worlds 2, you'll essentially be playing a space cowboy, tackling the gangs and various factions of the isolated colony of Acadia. You'll be creating your own character using backgrounds and traits to craft the character you want to play. Hell, you even get a perk like the Serial Killer perk, which gives you bonus HP for every heart you collect from your victims. I mean, enemies. Although you do get a higher chance at getting a heart, 100% chance, if the enemy is non-hostile when you kill them. Just, to get an idea of how this game is gonna be. Oh yeah, and stuff like this.
We have a really fun weapon called the pop-up gun. It fires out ad drones that will distract your enemies with corporate ads, slogans, and jingles. While your enemies are distracted, you can focus fire on them or explode these drones for additional damage. New to the Outer Worlds 2 are throwables. So you can use frag grenades to flush out enemies, smoke grenades to camouflage and escape, distraction devices to bait enemies into a stealth attack, and even science grenades that will levitate enemies, allowing you to fire upon them while they float helplessly. And of course, science weapons are back. We have returning favorites, like the Shrink Ray. This time it's been upgraded so you can shrink your enemy down to the size of a sprat and run over them, exploding them into bits.
The Shrink Ray, that was probably my favorite one from the first game, so we brought it into the second game, but we improved it though. So instead of shrinking your enemies for a short period of time and having them re-expand, this time they stay shrunk, and we actually added in the ability to step on them and kind of squish them and kick them, because we knew that that was the player fantasy. We knew that's what everybody wanted to do. They wanted to step on the enemies, they wanted to kick them, so we made sure to double down on that stuff.
In addition to things like our returning favorites, we also have some really fun and unique new science weapons. One of them is called the Armageddon. This one's really cool because it actually shoots out these masses that are like these little arms that will stick to people or cover or all kinds of different things, and they will continue to just hit them until they get destroyed. And we have another one that's just super cool called the Spectrum Dance Saber. This is a melee weapon that actually lets you attack to a musical beat. And if you continue to do that, you'll actually get additional bonuses each hit you do. One of my personal favorite weapons is called the Big Bang. It's just a big freaking gun that uses material harvested from rifts to shoot out a giant ball of energy, vaporizing everything in its path. Now, ammo's extremely rare for this weapon, but you can use it in just the right situation to devastating effects.
Like another great one is Gary. If you wear Gary, he will lash out at your opponents as you're walking through combat. So we even have science armors, and we've really kind of shown off what we thought was really great for the player from a science perspective.
Can't wait to start doing science, I guess. Can you imagine how many Gary cosplays there's gonna be after this game? There's also fun things like flaws that give you bonuses as well as benefits, like your knees cracking when you stand up, alerting everyone to your presence, but going faster while crouched. The depth of the RPG builds really stood out from the direct, showing all kinds of different routes you could go. As content creator Carnage put it, this game looks like the depth he wished Avowed had. From melee to bombs to stealth to straight up shooting the myriads of guns, the game looks like the irreverent Fallout style RPG a lot of us have been excited about, and it very well may end up being the best game on this list. Lastly, the game will come with companions, with 6 recruitable companions throughout the game, each with very different personalities and side quests that you can complete to help shape them. Following Avowed's lead though, you can't romance them either, so I guess this is yet another game where you can't fuck the squid. Now I said that there would be 5 games in this list, but since I have so, quietly and secretly had my book here as a marketing ploy to convince you to go look at the link down in the description, because it's there waiting for you to click it if you like historical fantasy with murder. That's what my book's about. Well, anyway, I'm gonna put a 6th game on this list, just as a little treat. And it's a treat because I don't actually know if it's gonna happen. The Wayward Realms, I'm going to be straight up with you all here. This one is coming in at this bonus spot because I feel like I'm cheating putting it on here. But it also might be the most ambitious game on this list. The Wayward Realms is another RPG that will not have a full release in 2025, but rather have an early access build. For the Wayward Realms specifically, whether it happens or not is still an open question, but even if it does go into early access, it won't be like the other 2 on this list. It will be a Kickstarter only early access, so only if you had backed the Kickstarter, not a broad EA like you're used to over on Steam or Epic. The Wayward Realms is a classically inspired RPG that asks the question, what if an RPG had no main story, but instead an incredibly immersive side quest? Or several hundred side quests. It's an intriguing question because it can lend itself more to feeling like you're inhabiting a world rather than finishing an epic story. And the world of this RPG is going to be huge, like really huge. They're talking big cities with hundreds or thousands of NPCs, sprawling swamps, vast oceans, all brought together through procedural generation, reportedly 5,400 times the size of Skyrim's map. The giant world is being created by some legendary RPG creators as well, helmed by a new team under Ted Peterson and Julian LeFay, the lead developers on Elder Scrolls Arena and Elder Scrolls Daggerfall. In a lot of ways, the Wayward Realms sounds like one of those RPGs that's too good to be true, built in Unreal Engine 5 with weather, reactive NPCs, and branching quests. It's a playground, a grand high fantasy RPG, and one we'll just have to wait and see if we actually get what has been promised. And this Kickstarter Early Access of 2025 will be the first time we get to see what they've been cooking. Now, I backed this game back during the Kickstarter, so if this EA does come to pass this year, which it still seems possible, I'd be sure to tell you all as long as, well, there's no NDAs or anything. The type of combat, everything about the game is still more of an open question, but I think that a game that released recently like Tainted Grail shows you don't have to have the most visceral combat to have a really incredible game. You can just create a compelling game that really like intrigues you to keep going and explore, and that's kind of what I'm hoping we get with the Wayward Realms. And it kind of feels a little bit like a single player MMORPG in a way where the world lore and side quests are bigger than some grand narrative story. And I'm curious to see how that plays out. That's all the games I have for you though, but I want to know what games you think I missed. Let me know down in the comment section below. I thought about adding a game like Alcahest on here, the Dark Messiah Return, spiritual successor that I'm really excited about, but because we don't have really any idea when that might come, and a game like Blight Survival is probably at least a year or more away, I left those off the list, as well as some that are confirmed for 2026 like Exodus and Fable. So let me know down in the comment section below what you think I should have included on this video. And thank you so much for watching. My name is Redbeard Flynn. I apologize if I was raspy or nasally during this video. I have a cold, but I wanted to get this video out. Thank you so much, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.
The price of truth can be death. Damian Flynn committed the most heinous sin a politician can. He stood up for what he believed in. Now he's set to die for it. But when a rogue insurgent sees his execution as a revolutionary spark, their rebellion could rewrite the fate of an empire. If they can outlast betrayal, bloodshed, and the bodies piling at their feet.